Hi, friends. Welcome to Law Chat with Girija. This is your legal BFF, Girija Patel. Thank you for tuning in. I am so grateful for every single one of you for tuning in and listening, because this is what Law Chat is about. It's a place for you to be inspired, a place for you to gain some more wisdom and knowledge about your industry, but a place also where you can receive mentorship through storytelling. Thank you so much. Now, I know that before we walk into this next episode, whether you're tuning in through your iTunes or through other form of a podcast, or whether this is on YouTube, I would love for you to share this information with someone else, somebody who is your friend, your family, a colleague, somebody in your community, someone who can really be inspired by this as well and benefit from the information and from the stories that we're sharing with you today. Law Chat is to help the community, is to boost the community, is to inspire the community. And I want you to help me to do that. So thank you so much for that. Let's get started. Hi, all. Welcome to Law Chat with Girija. You all might not know this, but behind the scenes, there has been very little recording happening on my end for solo episodes. I have just been repurposing a lot of our already done videos and, just really using a lot of the content that I've already created. One of the main reasons for that was because I was just so busy in the latter part of this year and busy with work. It was all good busy, but it was a lot of work and a lot of growth happening. And I kind of want to talk to you about all that today, because as the year is coming to an end, a lot of times we've already started reassessing. Some of us have done this already back in November or early December, where you get with your teams or you just sit down alone and you kind of reassess the year, reassess your goals, reassess the metrics that you've met, or the milestones that you have met, or which goals you have met or haven't met, and why you haven't met them, or what were some of the hard seasons that happened this year. I just want to talk to you a little bit about that today, because a lot of times we just can't do it also. We just can't get to this reassessment that we want to do. And I have been there this year. I did some reassessment, and then I've also not done it 110% the way I normally do it. And so part of that was giving me stress also, but then a part of that just was just, now this is the growing point again with self-growth, where you're like, it's okay. It's okay that I did not get everything that I wanted to get done. And while, yes, the new year is starting, yes, there's lots of things attached to 2023 with regards to finances and, taxes and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's okay if I did not get everything that I wanted to get completed by the end of the year. And I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that I have been thinking about as a business owner, as a mother, as, also all the other different roles that I play and I want to play for myself, and how I show up for myself also. And this conversation is truly just me putting my thoughts out there. And I'd love to hear feedback from you and tell me what you're doing, or if any of these ideas or thoughts are helpful to you. Because at the end of the day, Law Chat with Girija is truly a place where we are helping each other, inspiring each other, sharing our stories, and, providing mentorship through storytelling. Also, we'll be talking a little bit about Law Chat and how we are making some shifts in my podcast as well. So let's get started. So as 2023 is rolling around, I've had a chance to really assess this year. And I also know that there were seasons that were really busy for me. Seasons where I felt like my head is just not even 10 feet above the water, or even like a centimeter above the water. I just felt like I was drowning. And the drowning is not because of the stress, or it wasn't organized on my end the way I wanted it to be organized. And so things felt a little overwhelming to me. And so I also realized that there are parts of me that need to be super organized in order for me to feel that I am in control or I'm going in the right direction. When things are a little haywire, I don't thrive in that environment at all. And so it becomes stressful to me. And that's me. There are other people who can really thrive in that, and that's just how they function. And man, mad kudos to you. So while you are looking back, think about the seasons that you had, the seasons that were hard. One of my girlfriends and I, she's usually my go-to person. We talk a lot about just growth and, some of the challenges that we're having. So my girlfriend and I were talking about how parts of 2022 were really amazing. They were really overall a good year, a great year of growth, a great year of putting my things in alignment and leveling up my space and leveling up my business and making it more sophisticated and, making it where I want to see it. But a lot of this 2022 season was also a lot of challenges, seasons that were tough, seasons that were maybe I didn't even know they were tough while I was in it. But when I think back about it, I was like, man, that was really hard. Or seasons that didn't pose challenges per se, but they were posing a lot of friction. And so I think it's really important for me, and this is what I have been doing, is to go back and see those seasons, see the seasons where I felt really amazing, where I was thriving, and then really think about why I was thriving in that time versus the seasons that caused friction, the time in the year where I felt really challenged or at a point where things were just not aligned with me, whether it's internal, external, or a mix of both, and really to see why that happened and how I can make that better next year. So, for example, some of the things that are always, every single year, like crazy Looney Tuneville on my side is the minute the festival season starts. And for me, that starts kind of like in September. Well, kind of in August, but it's not full-fledged yet. But starting mid-September onwards, it gets a little nutty on our side because we have all of our holidays from India. And then from there, it just goes on to all of our American holidays that we're celebrating as well. So it's just non-stop. And while the nonstop brings a lot of joy, a lot of excitement, a lot of, you know, funness with family and friends and time to hang out with them and spend time with them and a lot of leisure time too, but it brings a lot of stress as well because sometimes you are juggling just a lot, like, and you're juggling not only hosting on a, very personal side, you're hosting, you're celebrating with friends, but then on a professional side, you're trying to get all the work done. And not just working on working on your client's work or working on the actual business coming in, just working on your business, getting those ideas and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work and how to make it happen. And so I, over the years, have tried to make my schedule less hectic during the fall season and this winter season, the second half of the year, where things I try to make them more streamlined and I try to make them more in a space where I could delegate more. And so this past year, I did that, but it still didn't feel 110% where I'm solid and I don't feel the overwhelm. And so now next year moving forward, I've already started talking to my team. I said, you know what, in the summer, we have to make sure that all of the campaigns that we're doing are complete. So we're not having to work on campaign stuff, like whether it's marketing, launching, whatever. And all that stuff is done. So we're not really too stressed about it when the time comes. Because generally, if you're speaking somewhere, if there's something that's happening and it's a launch, you're launching something new in your business, or whether it's marketing for the fall or for the, winter, or, things like that. So you can kind of prepare that stuff in advance. And summer's a great time to do it because there is usually the doldrums of your business is usually not as busy and hectic for most people. And so that's one of the ways I'm trying to change that and make that shift. Alongside that, I'm trying to overall, because I've realized that I need some more time where I can spend on my self growth in the sense of health and mental wellness as well. And so I am trying to really not just put it in my calendar, but actually do it, because you can have everything on your calendar, but if you're not actually executing it and implementing it, it just doesn't make sense, right? You're just filling up space on your calendar and causing extreme amounts of guilt and stress because you just cannot check that off. And that happens to me. And so truly, when you are planning your day, planning your week out, think about it in a way where you're not setting yourself up for failure, meaning don't put things there that are not achievable, that you just can't attain within the time period. You can have something for the month if that makes more sense for you. You can have something for the 2-week period if that makes more sense for you. Whatever makes sense when you're creating that schedule for yourself, do it. Because when you can't do it, it gets really stressful. So have bite-sized, achievable goals for yourself as well. So alongside that, for me, I am going to do that too. Candidly, on Fridays, I try to keep it a day off just so that I can get to stuff that I need to get done, whether it's appointments, whether it's school stuff with the kids, whether it's just anything. I try to get that stuff done on Friday, even if it's a friend's lunch or a birthday thing. Friday is my day. However, try to be flexible, try to be adaptable also, because it's really important for that as well, because that allows you some grace for yourself and also, allows you to move with emotions of the week and of the year as well, because things happen, life happens. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's challenges. And so we just need to be agile as well. And so just, reflecting back and looking at the times that caused friction or really stressful seasons or seasons that brought joy, but brought a lot of, stress also, look back at that and see how you can actually implement changes for the coming year. Because most definitely I will be doing that. And, of course, trying to really execute and implement in the right way as well. I hate to interrupt this awesome conversation, but I have to stop and talk with you about the number one thing I'm asked about by entrepreneurs: contracts. They're vital to any business relationship and to protect your business. But I also know that entrepreneurs, especially when you're starting up, money is tight. But I would never want you to compromise on a strong legal foundation. So enter yourcontractbuddy.com, a website created by me with contract templates created and drafted by me and fellow industry partners. They're ready to use and easy to plug in immediately, and they are not restricted to any specific state. So yourcontractbuddy.com is sponsoring this episode, and you and your listener can get 10% off right now with code LAWCHAT. Yes, you heard me right. 10% off right now with code LAWCHAT. And now back to our awesome conversation. Another thing that, really helps me as well is when I look back and reflect on what really wasn't working, I also look back and see, is this something that I truly need in my business or need in my life in general? Or is this something that's just hanging out because I'm holding on to it just because I'm used to it and it seems normal to me? Or I just have this connection with it, but it's really, truly not needed. And if it's something like that, just shut it off. Let go of the things that you don't need. Sometimes they can be sitting in a parking lot, meaning you can go back, pick it up again, bring it back to the business or your personal life again, or you can just let it sit there. Because if you're not truly ready to let it go, you can just let it sit there. And sometimes while it's sitting there, it kind of disappears because you also forget about it. And you realize that it truly wasn't as important as you thought it was going to be. And it's okay. I know that, a lot of us have this idea of perfection and what perfection looks like in your work, in your business, and how you're showing up. And I know that sometimes, again, we set ourselves up for failure a lot of times. And I really encourage you to make a list of things, when you're doing an inventory of this past year, what worked, why it worked for you, what didn't work and why it didn't work for you, what needs to stay or what needs to leave, or what can be delegated. And so this is something my coach also really emphasizes on. And it's really helpful because a lot of times some things just need to stay, but they don't need to be done by you. They don't have to be put on your table. And if you can delegate that out to someone else, whether it's in your personal life or whether it's in your professional life, whether you're delegating it or whether you're just completely eliminating it from your business, it just needs to get done. You cannot take unnecessary weight into the next year because it's just going to make you stay where you are. Speaking of staying where we are, also talking about Law Chat and the podcast, I have been really reassessing it because, again, there are parts of your business that may not need to be with you for the lifetime of your business also, because they just may not be bringing that value or the ROI that you're looking for. And so that's kind of like with the podcast, because while it's bringing value to the community, while it's bringing me value in the sense of where I get to meet amazing people that I would probably never have met before, I am making shifts in the podcast as well. For right now, I'm putting the podcast starting February of next year in a parking lot, like I talked to you all before about it. And I'm going to be focusing on my YouTube channel for the most part. So I'll still be meeting new people. I'll still be meeting really amazing entrepreneurs and, industry leaders. You'll also get access to mentorship through storytelling, but they're going to be quick, easy, digestible tips and information coming out of them. Why? Because I want the space to be quick for you. I know there's a lot going on in everybody's life. And I also want a space that's really helpful and immediately helpful too. And so for me, that is bringing a spot where I can have you check it out on YouTube, whether you listen to it or whether you watch it, you have access to it, but I don't have to keep the weight of a podcast alongside everything right now. So podcast is still available, but I'm just not going to be putting any new episodes out on the podcast at the moment. Now, again, it's on a parking lot, so it doesn't mean I've totally eliminated it. I'm just reassessing it right now, and that's all I'm doing. And the reason, again, it was kind of not a hard decision, but also it wasn't that easy of a decision. It was just a decision where I was just felt right. And it's just been really nice because it's taking away a burden that I felt like that of time and financial also, where I just felt like, it's just not bringing what I thought it would be bringing. And so that's okay. Sometimes you have to make those decisions and you have to it might be bittersweet, but it's okay. And I keep saying it's okay because I feel that sometimes we just really, really stress over things. And we put a lot of stress on ourselves also about certain aspects of life, whether it's just, gifting somebody or, preparing for the holidays, whether it's a Diwali dinner or a Christmas dinner or a Thanksgiving dinner. I like to go all out because I'm like, oh my gosh, this brings me so much joy. And while it does, but it also brings me so much stress. And so truly, this is a time to just sit back, reassess, be quiet for some moments, reflect, and make those shifts. And when you do, if you truly feel some weight lifting off of you, you're making the right decision. And you also know that this is where you need to go. And I really encourage all of you to take a pause and have those reflections for yourself and for your business. I want to show up very present in every role that I have in my life. And sometimes that just means letting go of certain things that cause noise or certain things that are just becoming roadblocks or extreme stress builders for me. I wish you all really well for the next year that's coming up, 2023. I'm looking forward to all the different shifts that we're having as GBP Law and with Law Chat as well. Stay tuned. Keep sharing the podcast and the YouTube channel. Keep, commenting on it, giving me ideas, telling me what you want to hear about, talk about, listen about, what tips you need, what kind of speakers you want and guests you want to hear from. I need your feedback. I need your input because truly this cannot be successful without you, and because you are the people that are listening and you are the ones that I want to serve. So please let me know what your ideas are, what your thoughts are. I am looking forward to hearing them. And until then, Happy New Year. Until then, have an awesome start to the most beautiful year yet to come, 2023. Cheers to you and cheers to the new year. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Law Chat. I hope this was super beneficial to you. I really enjoyed sharing this information with you today. And I have to ask you for a favor. Like I did in the beginning, I'm going to ask you again, please share this with your community, whether it's a friend, family, or another colleague, or someone else on your Facebook or Instagram or other social media spot. Share this, subscribe, and stay tuned for other episodes coming in so you are always up to date. But then also take another moment and share this episode with your community, because when you share it with everybody else, not only are they benefiting, but also the information that I'm sharing is reaching out to more people, because at the end of the day, we want to rise together with our community, and I can only do that with your help. Now, I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you tuned in, and I want to hear from you as well. So shoot me a DM on Instagram at GBP Law or at Law Chat with Girija. I would love to hear from you. I would love to also hear what other episodes that you would like to hear about, topics that you want to hear about, and also just connect with you. And thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.